Well, we are back after the hiatus. Well, I actually shouldn't say a hiatus, more or less a month break, because I think it's like Season 1, or should say Season 6 Part 1, ended as a month break, and then we continued on to Season 6 Part 2, continuing with, right here at the near end of July here. So, basically, it wasn't more or less of a hiatus, it was more or less a month break. So, technically it's not even a hiatus, it's not even season-long break or whatever from the season or whatever. So, with that in mind, let's continue on with Season 6 Part 2. And today we have Stranger Than Fanfiction, and another thing I gotta tell you before the episode begins, this is another episode that has leaked. Did it leak on iTunes? Did it leak somewhere else in Canada beforehand? No! This actually leaked on Netflix beforehand! Yeah, so Netflix got the episode hours before Discovery Family actually aired the episode. So, that's the first. I'm just laughing over here just because, I don't know, it just seems hilarious that Netflix would get the episode hours before this network would. But, anywho, let's just talk about Stranger Than Fanfiction. Everyone was talking about this episode online because not only did it have guest star Patton Oswalt, who, not many of you may be familiar with this guy, but if you watched maybe like an earlier Pixar film, maybe one that had Brad Bird in it, and it had this rat in it, okay, you probably already guessed it's Remy from Ratatouille. But yeah, they basically put Remy from Ratatouille as a character in MLP. And also the fans were talking about how this was literally the MLP conventions of the MLP episodes. And throughout this, I was thinking that. But throughout all this, it was still another Daring Do episode. Which, have you seen the episode Daring Don't, you know for a fact that it was quite correct that the idea of making Daring Do a real character was probably the dumbest decision that was ever put on screen. And I really hate that idea that they ever did that. They should have kept both the characters divided between each other. Like, maybe A.K. Yearling should be, like, a separate character. Maybe she has contact with Daring Do, and she just goes like, here, have this trick, and it's like, maybe somewhat of an idea that they have is maybe A.K. Yearling holds onto the treasure for a bit, maybe has some sort of contact info with Daring Do or whatever, like some sort of agent or whatever. Maybe they were just trying to, or maybe the staff was trying to go for, like what Indiana Jones was doing, now that I think about it more. Because Indiana Jones was the same way, a little bit. Because, forget how they did it, because it's been a while since I've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade, but, you know, Indiana Jones is a teacher, and he's also a bit of a history buff. But he also works as a person who discovers archaeology. Well, I can't even pronounce it right now because of my weird jaw positioning, but that's the way he is. But let's just talk about the episode before I go off topic and forget about it. Anywho, Rainbow Dash is going to attend this Daring Do convention, but because, and Twilight wants to go, but unfortunately she's got some, stuff to do for Griffinstone, which leaves Rainbow Dash to attend the Daring Do convention at some unknown location, because you don't want to say where your location is. She does come across this guest star, Remy, who, and apologize if I do call him that, it's just I completely forgot the name throughout the episode, and I was just thinking, it's Remy from Ratatouille, and it's Patton Oswalt, because, literally, I'm just thinking throughout the episode, oh god, it's Remy from Ratatouille, and all this, and I'm like, okay, what's his name? And I'm like, shoot, I forgot. So I have to call him Remy or whatever, so... Anywho, Remy, she comes across Remy, and they get into a lovely chat with each other, but once, they talk about some of the books they read, Remy here only says that he read the first 3 books, and that was it. But, and he says that the first 4, and that the rest of the other books are just garbage. And Rainbow tries to get Daring Do, or I should say, Erika Yearling. Nah, just call her Daring Do, just because it makes more sense. She tries to get Daring Do to talk to this person, but obviously, because of the pre-beginning of the episode, she discovers this artifact that comes to her, and because of the info that has been given, she tells her to keep an eye out for the person that is after the artifact. And unfortunately, because of the situation that is given to both Rainbow and Remy, they wind up getting themselves kidnapped by that person that is after them. Now, I know for a fact it isn't Ollie Zoll. You know, the big guy with the giant hand for a tail. Because that'd be too stupid. It'd be Caballero or something like that. It's... Again, I forget the names. Because it's that stupid short hiatus. But because of the situation, they wind up getting themselves kidnapped and brought into the forest, which still Remy still believes that it's like some sort of like virtual reality, some sort of like experience or whatever. And, you know, as time goes on and they wind up getting closer and closer to the artifact, he starts to sort of believe that this thing is starting to get real. And he starts, like, talking to the antagonist as if he's not even, like, the real deal. And it's like, dude, Remy is just like, he doesn't even care at all. It's just like, yeah, I'm all on your schemes, but seriously, you're not even that bad of a bad guy. And dude, even he steps in to say, if you're... And it's like... Even he tells him to even, like... Even when Remy, like, steps in to tell him to watch where he's going or whatever... When he's, like, Remy setting off all these, like, pad triggers or whatever to set off the monster, and Remy does... The funniest part of the whole thing, or at least one of the two, is when Remy sets off the pads, and he looks behind him, and this giant lizard thing is behind him, looks behind, and then he looks, and he goes like, that is real. Yeah, that is real. That made me so entirely laugh my head off. That is, like, the best thing I could ever imagine, like, Remy from Ratatouille ever saying in this whole entire episode. Like, like, I don't even know what to say right now. Like, that is the best choice that has ever been picked. I don't, like... it was mentioned on Twitter or whatever that Patton Oswalt said that he was viewing the episode, I think because his, like, daughter or whatever was viewing the episode, and then Hasbro or, like, DHX said, why don't you come on down and we'll guest star you in an episode or whatever, much like how Weird Al was talking about how someone was making PMVs of his polkas or whatever, and this guy just said, yeah, let's put Weird Al in an episode. I think it was the same way that Patton Oswalt said, you know, we watch MLP, and it's just like the staff just said, yeah, let's put you in an episode. And a year later, this is what happened. And it's like, excellent choice, guys, excellent choice. And you brought us probably one of the best episodes thus far since Pinky Bride. And, surprisingly, Amending Fences. And not only that, Daring Do actually comes in to save the day as they wind up coming across the doors, and of course the obviously smart Remy obviously has to come in and step in and tell them the freaking obvious ideas, that is, of how the situation of the doors come in. Because he obviously knows how the doors work. Because Daring Do, he was probably not that smart of a character after all. But as soon as he points out the obvious, they obviously go in, get the artifact, and escape from the bad guys. They run away from the giant lizard thing, and you know, they walk into the sunset to their con, and not only to top off the, you know, the funny turnaround joke I mentioned beforehand, they also end the episode, not with the MLP theme, but with Remy here actually improvising the ending by talking about how he could be a writer for Daring Do. And I must say beforehand, before doing this whole thing, that part, that whole ending there, made me laugh my head off. That whole scene was hilarious as hell. Like, that whole thing was so hilarious that I didn't even know what to say to all of this. I was praising Patton Oswalt, and the staff was just, I don't know about it. And it's just hilarious this how Rainbow, just at the end of the credits, was just like, Patton? And it was like, oh, sorry. I don't know what to say. This was my favorite out of all of this. A good comeback to Season 6 Part 2 after a month-long break for the season. And I really look forward to seeing what happens next for the season. And for whatever happens in the next few episodes that goes on, and I know Cart Before the Ponies is probably going to be the next episode, so perchance to dream what happens in there. And again, I'm going to need to watch Ratatouille again, because I just want to see that, I just want to see Patton Oswalt be Patton Oswalt, because he was hilarious in this, and I just want to see him act in the Brad Bird film again, because, for Pete's sake, like I said before, his 2 bits in this episode were hilarious. And that was good casting choice on you. Not only for the Weird Al episode, but also for this. This was the best. And this, in my opinion, is probably one of the few best MLP episodes for Season 6 Part 2. Definitely tops it off for the best beginning episode out of all of this. So, definitely I highly recommend it. And for those wondering if this is the best spin-off of an MLP convention, definitely no. But in my opinion, I will say that it's definitely worth a rewatch if you could get a chance to rewatch it. So, in that regards, go for it. Go watch this and then watch Ratatouille if you have the chance. For me, I gotta get it on Blu-ray since I don't own it yet. So, in that regards, hope to see you guys for next week's episode, and with that in mind, it's good to be back for more MLP episodes. And, by Jove, I love being back in this seat. And hope to see you guys for tomorrow for another episode of Ray Donovan, because, by Jove, I love Ray Donovan. Another thing to keep in mind, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, another episode provider screw-up. Tribune here decided to call this the 14th episode instead of the 13th. Another provider screw-up, despite the fact that Spice Up Your Life was the 13th, despite the fact that Spice Up Your Life was the 12th episode in Season 6. And the guide here called this the 14th. And according to the guide, this here calls next week's episode the 15th. So, whatever's going on with Tribune, they need to fix this. I don't know if something's going on with Tribune or something's going on with any other guide, because I can't keep track of all the providers' guide services or whatever, but they need to fix this. Now and immediately. So, I don't know what's going on, because, they split Flutter Brother as a My Little Pony episode, not calling it part of the Friendship is Magic lore, and now they're calling there's a split between Spice Up Your Life and this episode. So, in that regards, something needs to be fixed with the Tribune guide or whatever. But, again, see you guys next week for next week's episode. And probably see you guys tomorrow for the Ray Donovan episode.